Hello, team. How are you today? It's great to see you. We have a book we got to read, so let's get started. Today we're reading Mary Poppins, which is an exciting story about an exciting person. It's a very big book. Look at this. Covers the whole space. So here's the houses. There's the wind. And there's somebody coming. If you are looking for number 17, Cherry Tree Lane, and it is likely that you are, for this book is all about this particular house, you will find it. Here, actually, I'll tell you what, we're going to get a little bit closer. Let's do it. Four children live here. Jane, the oldest, Michael, her brother, and the twins. The family's nanny had left unexpectedly, and it was bedtime. Outside, the east wind was blowing, howling through the cherry trees that lined the streets. The wind madly spun Admiral Boone's weather vane. Michael joined his sister Jane at the window. The twins were howling as loud as the wind, and that's when they saw a strange shape flying toward them. It was a woman, carrying an umbrella in one hand and a bag in the other, and the wind seemed to fling her at the house, where she landed heavily against the front door, quieting even the twins. "I've never seen that before," said Michael. Neither had her parents, for they promptly opened the door, and at the top of the landing the children watched as this curious visitor flew up the banister. Jane and Michael slid down the banister all the time, much to their parents' dismay, but never up the banister. Now, despite the wind, she was as neat as a pin, and there was something exciting about her. "I am Mary Poppins," she said. "How did you find us?" asked Jane. "The wind blew me here," she said, and then Mary Poppins wasted no time getting settled. She removed her hat, set down her umbrella, and from her strange bag she pulled out a starched apron, which she wrapped around her waist, and then she pulled out a bottle of perfume and a box of lozenges and a set of dominoes and 2 bathing caps and 7 flannel nightgowns and 4 cotton ones and a large bar of soap and a pair of boots and a postcard album and a toothbrush and a pair of hairpins. All from that little bag. "Now spit-spot to bed," she said. And before they knew it, Jane and Michael and even the twins were put in their pajamas, bathed and brushed and read to, much to their parents and their delight. "Mary Poppins, you'll never leave us, will you?" asked Michael. "I will stay until the wind changes," said Mary Poppins. Now, from that night on, Mary took charge, and the children followed, and every day with Mary was an adventure. They always waved to Miss Lark, their next-door neighbor, on their way out. "Good morning, and how are you today?" she said. Jane and Michael never knew if she was asking how they were, or how she and her spoiled, fluffy little dog were. They always stopped to admire the matchman's work. On sunny days, the matchman made chalk drawings on the sidewalk instead of selling matches. "Strike me pink," Mary always said when she was pleased. Now, On this particular day, Mary Poppins, Jane, and Michael were taking the bus to pay a visit to Mary's uncle, Mr. Wig. "Why is your uncle called Mr. Wig?" asked Michael. "Does he wear a wig?" "He is called Mr. Wig because Mr. Wig is his name," said Mary. "And he does not wear a wig. He is bald." Now, inside number 3 Robertson Road, an enormous table was laid for tea. But where was Mr. Wig? Jen and Michael heard a giggle, and they looked up. "Oh, Uncle Albert, not again. It's your birthday, is it?" Mary Poppins asked. "I'm afraid it is my birthday," he said. "And whenever my birthday falls on a Friday, well, it's all up with me, absolutely up." "Why?" asked Jane. "How?" asked Michael. "Well, you see, the first funny thought I have, and I float up like a balloon. And then, until I can think of something serious, I can't get down." The children laughed, and the more they laughed, a curious thing happened. Jane felt herself growing lighter and lighter, and it was a delicious feeling which made her laugh more. And then Michael started laughing too. But Mary Poppins liked to be proper. "Really," she said. "Really, such behavior." "Come up, Mary Poppins," cried the children. "Think of something funny." But Mary Poppins didn't need to. She could fly, even without laughing. She brought up the table with her. "Time for tea," announced Mr. Wig, and the children laughed some more as they had tea and a delicious dessert floating in the air. Wow. "It's time to go," said Mary after a while, "and no need to think about serious things like school or growing up." And they all came down with the bump, just in time to catch the bus home. Now, when the day started growing shorter, Mary Poppins brought Jane and Michael to the most curious shop they had ever seen. "Fanny, Annie," Mary called out in the empty shop. "Fanny, Annie," her echo called back. Miss Fanny and Miss Annie appeared with their mother, Miss Corey. "How do you do?" she said with a dreamy smile. She offered Jane and Michael a baker's dozen of gingerbread, each gingerbread adorned with a gilt paper star. Arms piled up with the delicious dark cakes, Mary and Jane and Michael headed home. Ooh, look, someone made a gingerbread house. Later that night, after the gingerbread was gone and they had hidden their gold stars away in the nursery, Jane and Michael woke up to voices outside their window. Annie and Fanny each held a ladder and set the ladder up, one end on the earth and the other end in the sky. And then Miss Corey painted the sky with glue, and Mary Poppins stuck the gilt stars that began to twinkle ferociously. It was their stars that they got from their gingerbread. Are the stars gold paper, or is the gold paper stars? Jane wondered. But she knew that only someone very much wiser than Michael could give her an answer. Another bedtime on a cold winter night, Michael was thinking about elephants. "I wonder what happens in the zoo at night." "Spit spot to bed you go," said Mary Poppins. "She knows everything, but she never tells," Jane whispered. And just as they were about to drop off to sleep, they heard a voice say, "Hurry, hurry." And Jane and Michael followed the voice out of bed and down the lane, across the park until they came to the zoo. And in the light of the full moon, Jane and Michael saw the most amazing thing. The animals were free, and in the center of it all was Mary Poppins. The voice belonged to a bear wearing a coat with brass buttons, and he handed them each a ticket and told them, "We are all made of the same stuff, birds and beasts, star and stone. We are all one." Well, winter turned to spring as it does, and the bare cherry trees on Cherry Tree Lane blossomed and rained pink petals once again. Mary Poppins was especially quiet as she tidied, and after supper, for a moment she put one hand lightly on Michael's head and the other on Jane's shoulder. There was something different in the air. Admiral Boone's weather vane confirmed that the wind had changed. Jane and Michael heard the front door slam, and they rushed to their bedroom window. Jane and Michael opened the window. "Mary Poppins," they shouted. The wind blew her over the rooftops and away from Cherry Tree Lane. Would they ever see her again? "Au revoir," she called, which means, dear reader, to meet again. Mary Poppins.